Hey guys, Flopster here from CarboniteCummins.com. Now we're doing part 3 of our HVAC rebuild for a 2008 Dodge Ram 2500. Part 1 we took it out, part 2 we rebuilt it on a bench, part 3 is going back in. I'm going to run a little bit quicker through part 3 here because all of this stuff you've already seen if you watch part 1. So this is just a guideline to show you how everything's supposed to go back together. So let's get started. So let's take our newly refurbished box and we'll slide it back up into the truck. And install the 2 nuts on top and the 1 bolt on the bottom that you removed earlier. Alright, lift up on the dash and set it back into place. Alright, reinstall the 3 bolts on either side that secure the dash panel to the truck. Reinstall the 2 long bolts that secure the instrument panel to that aluminum bracket, and then lift the steering wheel and reinstall the 4 nuts that hold the steering column up. Reinstall the 2 lower mount bolts, and then reinstall all 6 bolts removed from up by the windshield. Reattach the electrical connectors behind the A-pillars to their mounts, and then make the connection and push the locking tab. Reconnect all the electrical connectors in the passenger side kick panel. Reconnect the parking brake release rod, and then reconnect all the electrical connectors behind the parking brake assembly. Reinstall the metal plate that goes behind the knee guard under the steering wheel. Remount the OBD2 cable, and then bolt on the hood release cable. Reinstall the plastic knee guard panel and put the 2 screws down here in the bottom. Reinstall the end caps by setting them in place, give them a good tap, and then reinstall the lower trim panel. Reinstall the A-pillars by sliding this thing up and locking it down into place. Line up the tabs in the center. Snap it in. And then we're going to install 2 bolts to hold it all in place. Reinstall the upper trim panel. Lining everything up. Slide it forward and push it down. Reinstall both halves of the lower center console and your shifter if you have a stick shift. And reinstall the glove box. Reinstall the 2 nuts that we removed earlier to hold the HVAC housing in place. Reinstall the 2 heater hoses and secure the clamps. Before you reconnect the lines, there are 3 O-rings on the end of it that need to be replaced. Once you replace those O-rings and get them covered in oil, just push it all together until you hear a click. After both lines are connected, put the plastic clamps back around them. Alright, now that our lines are connected and we have our black and gray plastic clips installed, we can tighten up these 2 bolts here that hold the accumulator to the bracket that we loosened earlier. And lastly, reconnect your battery cables. The last thing to do after you put it all back together is take the truck down to the shop that evac'd your AC system earlier and have them recharge to factory specs to get everything working again. Now, timeline on this project, an experienced technician could have this dash apart and the HVAC box out in about 45 minutes, but for the average Joe, you're probably looking at about 2 to 3 hours of actual work. It'll take you about an hour to disassemble the HVAC box, change everything out, clean it all up real good, put it back together and have it ready to reinstall. And then you're looking at about 2 hours or so to actually put it all back into the truck and get it ready to have it recharged. Well, like and subscribe to this video if it helps you out some, and check out CarboniteCummins.com for more information on future projects.